G'day, welcome back. Really good to see you again if you've been here before. If you haven't, my name's Tim Simpson, and on this channel we do a whole pile of really geeky stuff. Today we're going to be looking at the DJI Spark, and in particular the DJI Go 4 application that you use to run it. So let's get into that. So yeah, really good to see you guys again. If you've not been here before, or if you haven't subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button and the notify bell below, just to make sure you don't miss out on the rest of these DJI Spark videos that I'm just beginning a really good series of, and we're going to be showing you all the little tricks and techniques and things and help you get jump started and show you how to use this thing really well and get the most out of it, because it's a brilliant little drone. Anyway, let's get stuck straight into this one. I'm going to start by looking at the DJI Go app, because this is where you really want to get things started. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on those three little dots up in the top right corner here, if you see those, and that brings up the general settings pane. Now the second item down there, which looks like a little Wi-Fi type button, I'm going to click on that one there, and that's the visual navigation settings controls. And there are two things in there that you want to have a look at. The first one is the visual obstacle avoidance. Now you want to leave this one on. This is the thing that the Spark uses to not crash into things, and that's something you kind of want. The other one down below here is the enable advanced gesture control, and you'll make sure that you turn that one on as well. There you go. When you turn it on, you'll get that warning that just popped up, and you're away laughing. Okay, now you see in the background here I've just got a whole pile of things on my desk. It's a bit of a mess, but I'm sure you've already gotten over it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is have a look at the different flight mode controls, because this is what we're going to be basing the first half dozen videos on after this one, and it's all of the really basic stuff that you need to get going and start making some really awesome stuff with your DJI Spark. So I'm just going to click on this little controller looking icon down in the corner here, and that brings up this screen with the 6 different modes that you can run this thing in. The first one, of course, is the normal mode. That's pretty straightforward. That's just your basic flying and your basic controls. We're going to be having a look at the P, S and A modes that you can fly in, and also in that one we'll have a little bit of a look at palm launch and palm land, because that's a really neat trick, a really good basic thing to know. And if you're somewhere where you don't have a bit of clear ground, it's a really good way of getting your drone into the air so you can start shooting and playing with it. The next one we're going to be looking at is quick shot. But these are a set of shots, like a droney shot where it pulls away from you, a rocket shot where it flies straight up into the air. There's an orbit shot where it goes around an object, and a couple of other things in there as well. We're going to do a whole video on those options, maybe a couple of videos on the different ones, and also really cool ways to use them. The next option here is active track. We're going to show you how you can get the drone to track you in a couple of different ways, so that you can wander around and do stuff and the drone will follow you. This is really good if you're skateboarding, or if you're on a bike or driving a car or something like that, or even just going for a walk with the dog. Active track can be a great way of getting some really cool footage with a minimal of effort, and not having to be the guy walking around with a controller in your hand in the footage. So we'll be doing a fair bit in that. Tap to fly is another one, where you can tell the drone on the screen by tapping where you want it to fly to, and set waypoints and that sort of thing, and sort of instruct the drone on where you want it to go and how to go there. And there are a few different variations in the rules on that one. Once again, get some pretty wicked flights out of it. Tripod mode is a great one. This is the one you want to have a look at if you're really wanting to get some really smooth stuff going when you're indoors. It slows the all the speed and everything of the Spark down to about 1/10 of its normal speed, and increases the stability of the drone a hell of a lot. So it's like a tripod or a dolly mode or something like that, and when you want to use it for getting quite close cinematic type footage, I hate using that word cinematic. It just really grinds at me. People misuse it all the time. But if you want to get some very smooth, very high quality footage that you could use for a dolly shot or a craning shot or something like that, and not have to set up hardware in a movie, and just get a really nice shot really quickly, without needing big crews and dolly tracks and cranes and pan tilt heads and people to control them. This is a really good way of doing it that you can do with one operator. And last of all, of course, we'll do this one as one of the early ones, is the gesture control. Now, the gesture control and the palm control is one of the things that the Spark does really well, and it makes it a very, very flexible camera for people who just want to take selfies or move the camera around quickly, and not have to hook up a controller every time they use it. We'll show you how to use that, show you how to make it work really well, because it can be a little bit tricky if you haven't done it before. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, that one, and you can get some stuff done really fast if you want to, especially for taking photos of groups or events or wherever you are. That's the one you want to learn, basically, to get a camera where you can take a photo from somewhere you can't get a normal camera, and that's what the drones are all about. So anyway, those are the basic things that we're going to be making a whole series of videos about coming up. One thing I wanted to show you right here first, which is something you're going to want to do before you shoot any of these other things and before you get into any of these other modes, is just having a quick look at some of the basic camera settings. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the camera settings icon. Now that's the one with the 3 sliders underneath the red start, stop, record button. So I'll just click on that there, and that brings up a 3-pane menu. There's those 3 items across the top. So it's the first one of these that you want to have a look at, and that's got your shutter control. And you want to take that from auto to manual straight away. That's one thing you definitely want to do. The next thing you want to do is have a look at that slider where you can move the ISO setting across, and you can set that up to suit the room that you're in. Now, with the ISO setting, you also want to have a look at the shutter speed. If you're moving quickly, you want to get the shutter speed relatively fast. If you want the crisper, sharper images, you want to speed the shutter up. So, and the bigger number, so 1/200, is a faster shutter speed than 1/100, for example. And that's how long the shutter is recording an image for, how long the sensor is recording an image for. So the shorter period of time that you're recording an image for, the less that something can move across the screen. So if you're shooting things that are moving quickly, you want a higher shutter speed so that you don't get as much motion blur. Now, how you want to set those up is going to be dependent on what the lighting conditions and everything are that you're in at the time. So I'm going to click on this third icon up the top, the little gear icon, and there's an option at the top called histogram. What you want to do is turn histogram on, and you can just drag that around the screen like this to wherever you want it. And now you can see that this is a very dark image, and all of the data is in that really low end. So I'm in a dark room at the moment, and I'm pointing the drone at somewhere that's not very bright at all. So if I come back to here and I can see the ISO settings, I can slow down the shutter speed, which gives a brighter image, and I can also increase the ISO. Now you want to look at a combination of those things that puts the histogram somewhere in the middle of the screen. Now these are not ideal conditions to be shooting anything in the drone, and this is actually a very dark room at the moment. And if I shot this at 3200 ISO and a 1/40th shutter speed or a 1/50th shutter speed, that's going to come out and that's quite a nasty image, to be completely honest. But with these settings here, and you can see it's moved the histogram so that it's not hard pressed up against the darks, or it's not hard pressed up against the whites. So you're not going to be blowing out your white levels or crushing your black levels. That's how to use the manual controls on the drone to get the best quality image you can. You're going to want to learn how to do this one. You could leave it on auto and run it, but you're always going to get something that's you're not quite happy with it. They tend to overblow the whites and stuff in there to try and get a more dynamic image, but then if you've got any sky in the shot or any cloud, it's just going to completely white out and not be what you're after in an end image. But anyway, so that's the basic settings you want to have a look at for your drone when you're setting it up. Make sure you've got the grid on here as well. That's already on by default, I believe, or I may have turned that one on. and make sure you've got that histogram up on screen, because the histogram is going to be absolutely key to making sure that your exposure settings are right. Always trust the data. Anyway, that's it for this first video. Don't forget, click on subscribe and the notify bell to make sure that you do see the rest of these. You can also have a look for the playlist. I've put a link to that up here. Up here. So if you've got a Spark and there's something you particularly want to know, if you're looking at buying one and you've got some questions, also put those in the comments below. I will get back to you and answer all the questions you've got on those things. A lot of the stuff also counts for the Phantoms and for the Mavic drones. They all run on the same base software here, so all these same settings pretty much apply to them. There are some variances, of course, but these tutorials, these videos are going to be relevant if you've got a Mavic or a Phantom. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. Don't forget to click on all those buttons and the like and all that sort of stuff, and share it with your friends, because we've all got lots of friends that need to see this video. And I will see you in the next one. See you later.